Welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Steve Tompkins. Now, today is an extraordinary day for all of us, for me in particular, but for all of us because we are starting a series with all of the folks that are running for the mayor of Boston. And my first guest, the first up at plate, is Charles Clemons, the owner, founder of Touch 106.1 FM in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. And he's not only going to talk to us about his business because he's one heck of an entrepreneur, but he's also going to talk to us about why he's running for mayor, what his message is, and why he needs you to be involved with his candidacy. So without any further ado, Charles, sir. Thank you so much for coming, man.
Sheriff, always a pleasure.
Oh, please, come on, man. Come on, thanks a lot.
It's an honor. Common ground, and that's where we should be.
That's
Everyone
right.
should be on common ground.
Exactly. I've got a bunch to talk to you about, but first and foremost, let's start with why you're running for mayor.
I'm running for mayor simply because of change, listening to the community, the issues of the community, wanting quality education, jobs, policing, community policing, bringing community policing back, and equaling the playing field and making equal access for everyone. And I'm just tired of the haves and the have-nots and the underserved.
So why do you see yourself as the best person to get that job done?
Well, first of all, I'm from the community. I live in the community. I walk the beat in the community, went to school in the community. I interact with the community. I listen to the issues daily on my show, and then I watch what happens. And the issues that the community brings forth do not get addressed. It seems like it falls on deaf ears, just like education. You look at the recent plan that came about, the community wants quality schools in every neighborhood, not just in certain neighborhoods. They want equal access for all of our children. They want to close the achievement gap. There's no reason why, Steve, that we should be playing a game of chance with our children. They have Tier 1 schools and Tier 4 schools, and it's real simple. If you look at a report card, A, B, C, D. Tier 1 would be A, Tier 4 would be D. What parent would want to send their child to a Tier 4 school because they have no other options, because there's not enough seats? How are we going to have a bright future if we turn our backs on our children? Our children's our future.
Well, then let me ask you this. To that point, what would be your plan? How would you change that dynamic with getting the kids into quality schools?
Well, first of all, we have great schools. We don't have enough great schools. Well, we use those great schools as our model, and we take them from here and just bring them over there. But then we have to make sure that we put the resources into our schools. We have to make sure that our children are inspired to go to school. They should be able to open up a book and see themselves in that book. When they study science, when they study biology, math, they should be able to say, I am science, I am biology, I am math.
But how do you get that done? There was a recent report, I believe, in one of the major daily newspapers that spoke to the fact that there are a lot of schools with vacant seats. And so that to look at building new schools or bringing about new schools when you have some schools with empty seats, why wouldn't you look to populate those chairs before you brought about new schools or more schools?
Well, we have to make sure that we're up to the modern times. So yes, we have these vacant seats, but we have to make sure that we have the resources in those schools. We have to make sure that we have computers in those schools. We have to make sure that we have books in those schools. Not children are going around making Xerox copies of books. That is not right. You don't play a game of chance with our future. We have bright, talented children, and it's not fair that our children start off with a D. No, our children should start off with an A+. Every child has the right for equal access. It's a human right and a civil right for our children.
So in tough fiscal times, how do you get the resources how do you get the finances to get the resources that you're talking about?
Well, you're looking at a businessman. You're looking at someone who's been self-employed since the age of 14. You're looking at someone who knows how to take nothing and turn it into something. Robert Kennedy said there are those people that look at things the way they are and ask the question, why? I dream of things that never were and ask the question, Why not? Why not quality schools in our neighborhoods? Why not equal access? Why not funding and partnerships with our school? We have the partnership. Look at the federal government, the state, and the local. Look at the partnerships that are already there. All we have to do is enhance them. And it's about, Steve, it's about doing the right thing. Stop faking right and going left.
But then there will be those that will say, okay, good point, but on one side of the coin, where the dollar's going to come from, and on the other side of the coin, how do you deal with the unions? Because as I hear what you're saying, and I agree that you need to have these resources in those schools, but you are an astute entrepreneur and a businessman. Mm-hmm. But when you're mayor, you're not dealing just on an island unto yourself. And so you have to create these coalitions and partnerships. So how do you bring those folks along so that you are in that common place to get done what you're talking about
Steve,
getting done?
the Clemons administration, when I become mayor, the Clemons administration is going to be totally transparent. We're going to bring everybody to the table, from the students to the parents, to the teachers, to the unions, the clergy. Everyone will be at the table, and you have to listen to them. And that's the beautiful thing about my experience that I have. I am the type of person that will come to City Hall and I will listen to those talented, bright people. And that's what we have to do. We have to start listening. And then once we listen, we have to have action.
What other issues will you champion when you become mayor?
Well, let's look at the Boston residency job policy. Simply, it's been around for 30 years. It's never been enforced. One might ask, well, what is that? Well, it's simple. Those jobs, those municipal businesses, those construction companies that are going on, those construction jobs that are happening, it's real simple. 50% of the workforce, Steve, should be Boston residents. 25% people of color. 10% women. It's never been enforced. It's time for us to enforce that. Steve, if you don't pay your parking ticket, you pay a fine. If you don't pay your taxes on time, you pay a fine. Well, I'm saying let's hold those companies accountable. You don't want to adhere to the Boston residency job policy, then we're going to hit you with fines. We're going to hit you with sanctions. And then we take those fines and those sanctions, and then we reinvest them into our children, to developing our children for a future.
Well, you think you get any pushback? I mean, if this has never been enforced, how does Mayor Clemons get that enforced? And I'm not trying to be combative, but I'm just curious as to how you would get something done that others have been unable to do.
Steve, it's about relationships. It's about conversation. It's about sitting down and having dialogue. It's closing this gap. It's about sitting down and being with the common people, the underserved. When you serve the underserved, you serve everybody. And the issues that are in Charlestown are the same issues that are in Roxbury. The issues that are in Roxbury are the same issues that are in Brighton. You know, there might be more here and more there, but they're the same issues. Quality schools in every neighborhood. Jobs, when those jobs happen in our community, hire the people from our community first. And then we can, and then we can take that money and reinvest in our community. Don't hire people from Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, because they're going to take that money and take care of their own. Charity starts at home, Steve, and then spreads abroad.
So you're saying jobs that are in Boston should be populated by residents of Boston?
50% Boston residents. However, we have to bring things up to the modern time. The U.S. Census came out, Steve, and simply said that 54% of the population of the city of Boston are people of color. That's Latinos, that's Asians, that's blacks. The list goes on. So we need to revamp that Boston residency policy. 50% Boston residents, 54% people of color. And let's not forget our beautiful women that are out there, our sisters, our mothers. 75% of the head of households are women. How can we allow that 10% to stay at 10%? That needs to be raised. And then we look at our compliance officers. We only have 3 compliant officers with 200 construction jobs that are going on. If you look at Connecticut, that has half the jobs that are going on, the construction that's going on in their city, they have 13 compliance officers. So now we're going to create jobs with compliance officers so that we can make sure the job gets done.
So let's expand beyond construction jobs and talk about jobs in high tech or health care or other industries. How do you inspire other businesses? How would Mayor Clemons inspire other businesses to set up shop in Boston to do their business?
Well, first of all, we have great universities and great colleges. We have MIT when you talk about technology. So let's partnership with the colleges. Let's partnership with the schools. Let's take what we have and invest in our children. When the world sees how we're investing in our future, they're going to want to be a part of a winning team. It's a win-win for everyone.
Well, beyond the education and investing in kids, how do you get to set up shop in Boston? What's the incentive? What's the draw?
Well, first of all, we have to look at the businesses that we already have in our city. We have businesses that have been in business for 10, 15, 20, 23 years, 50 years. First of all, we have to show them some love. It's about love right here. And we can't tax them out of the bracket that they're in. We have to say, we appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate you struggling and taking the fight. So let's first focus on the businesses that we already have here that have survived, that are hiring the people in our communities. Let's take and focus on them first. And again, like I said, charity starts at home, then it spreads abroad. It's really not rocket science, Steve. It's about doing the right thing. It's about listening to the people. It's about addressing those issues of what our people want. As mayor of the city of Boston, I will make sure that everyone comes to the table. I will make sure that it's transparent. I will make sure that the people know where the money is going. As you can tell, I work on a shoestring budget. I can make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about public safety. As the mayor of this great city, how do you address what's going on, particularly in our urban centers, around public safety?
Well, first of all, the beautiful thing is I'm a former Boston police officer, former special police officer, former correctional officer. So I come with over 17 years of law enforcement. I walk the beat in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. I worship in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. Went to school in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. I know the people. I do business in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. So we're going to bring back community policing. True community policing, which simply means that the person from that community who already has a relationship with the community, and that's what we need. Because you think about the Boston Miracle. The reason why the Boston Miracle worked is because there was partnerships, there was communication, there was trust built. Well, we're going to bring that back, and it's a real easy fix. Again, is that we have folks from the community who care about the community, who serve and protect the community. And then let's find out where the guns are coming from. You and I both know there are no gun factories in our community. However, throughout New Hampshire and in the outskirts, they always have these gun shows. And it's real easy to take and purchase a gun without the proper identification. It's real easy when the show is getting ready to shut down that they want to sell those guns. So what do? They let those guns go for almost nothing, and you can buy as many as you want. So we need to track those guns. We have the technology. Look at the technology we used during that horrific event, the bombing of the marathon, and how the federal, the state, and the local came together. So we have the technology. We just have to use that technology. I mean, they have satellites in the sky that can zoom down and tell you the make of that suit that you have on. So it can happen, Steve. We just have to make sure that we do the right thing, tap into those resources, and let's care about the residents of the city of Boston. Let's care about all of the residents.